Yeah, nice. Whoa. Okay, you got me. So I'm Shawn Briggs and I've got a beard now. Green screening. It's one of those things that you use to superimpose yourself or an object or somebody else onto a background, any background. You use like a keying software. I use After Effects, for instance, and you basically remove the green background, which leaves a transparent layer behind your subject.
Incredible snow, mountaintops, beautiful scenery, and we're going to be seeing what these can do.
So what I'm using, because I don't have a big studio, a big light, I'm actually doing this in my living room, just using what I've got, and I'm just messing around, just to get you an idea of how it works, and to show you that I can actually do it as well. Isn't that right, George?
Another point I would like to make about...
But what I have is this massive window around like the patio, which lets a lot of natural light in from outside. It's a very cloudy day. It's actually raining at the moment. It's getting darker, so I'm worried about lighting a little bit. But I'm making use of that just to fill the background, because the softer the light, the less harsh the shadows behind me are going to be. And that's something that's quite important, because if you've got hard shadows on your green screen, it basically separates the types of green tones that you're getting on your green screen background when it comes to key. And that can often leave you with certain artifacts that aren't very nice, especially if it goes into the much darker region of shadows, because what that will do is that when you come to bring out the green, you'll have two types of green going on, or maybe it'll be so dark it won't be green anymore, it'll be more like a murkish brown, and that won't key very well. So I've got a few plants lying around, and I just thought I would show you why it's a bad idea that if you're going to be filming on a green screen, and you know that you're going to be presenting on a green screen, don't wear green. Don't do it. There is such a thing as a blue screen, and the reason that exists is because that was the original preference of colour used for keying. It's green now, mainly because a lot of people wear jeans, and jeans are generally blue. So, could you take this for me? And also, you've got to bear things in mind like reflective belt buckles, reflective clothing, glasses also. Light tends to bounce. The softer light is, the more even the light will be, so you'll have less bounce going on. But say you use hard light, for instance, if someone's standing generally quite close to the green screen that they're filming against, what you might find is that the green from that background will bounce onto like the edges of their skin, and the camera will be able to see that. And that can also be problematic when it comes to keying, mainly because that green the computer will be picking up will be removed, and you'll end up with like these like kind of jaggedy, pixelated, smudgy edges. Hopefully I don't mess up at all. I'm guaranteed to mess up, but it's fine. When green screening doesn't go very well, what you then generally have to do is you have to rotoscope, which is when, instead of relying on a green screen to create a transparent background behind your subject, you have to go in manually and use either the pen tool or the rotoscoping brush to literally go around the edges of a subject and refine those edges and get from that footage what it is that you need. Remember, lighting is key for your key. I find soft lighting is quite neutral, and it means that if you're not going for any particular style and you're not wanting like hard backlight with a, you know, negative over here and then highlight over here so it looks really cinematic. If you're not going for anything like that, then I find soft light is a nice happy medium just to ensure that you're getting the best results easily. Bitrate in your camera. There is a blog that I wrote a while ago about the rise of 12-bit and 444 and higher bit rates in cameras becoming more of a thing. I'm filming on the GH5 right now, which is filming in 10-bit 422 at 150 megabits per second. The reason that ideally you want to stay away from the low end of 8-bit and 420 is because the color sampling is not as thorough as 10-bit and above. The reason it's important is because for every like pixel that is sampled, if it's 8-bit, it's sampling less pixels and then kind of guessing what those other colors are. So your green's not going to be as refined, but also the detail around the edges of your subject are not going to be as sharp or clear. So that would be another reason. If you're shooting on an 8-bit format, then generally when you key, you might find, unless you've lit it really well, you might find kind of jagged, pixelated, smudgy edges like I mentioned before. My advice to you is that you shoot in 10-bit, 422 or above to get the clearest green screen footage possible. Something else that's very important is shutter speed. If you're shooting at 1/50th, at 25 frames a second, then you do get a little bit of motion blur. It's considered authentic when you're just filming normally, not on a green screen, but just out filming live documentary or short film material. And what that motion blur will do is when you come to key, you've got this like webbing between all of your appendages and everything that makes it difficult to key, and you get this kind of smudging effect, which it doesn't look very high production value. And what that might mean you have to do is to actually go through and rotoscope out the smudges and clean it up, which is a whole other job. So what you do to solve this is that you just set it to a faster shutter speed. And what that does is, if you just make it something like a 1/100th of a second, then when people go to gesture and they're really enthusiastic about something, you won't get that motion blur, and you'll have sharp edges, and you won't have to do, hopefully, as much cleanup. I'm not going to say you never will. I mean, it's something we all have to do at some point. Things happen, but it should be a lot cleaner and therefore save you a lot more time in the post-production process of when it comes to putting your edit together of your green screen footage. So as much as you can do in the production side, so with the camera like I am now on a green screen, and get it right, lighting, shutter speeds, people not wearing green or reflective clothing, these are all things you've got to bear in mind, and hopefully if you bear all those things in mind and things go well for you on the day, it should be quite tickety-boo and everything when it comes to the edit. And you should also bear in mind the background itself. Like, if you have a premeditated idea of where you're going to be compositing someone when you come to film them, have a look at the footage, have a look at where the light is coming from. If you can physically go to that location, if you filmed it yourself for instance, then stand someone into the frame so you can see how the light around them reacts. See what the sun is doing, where it's coming from, whether it's on this side of their head or that side of their head, whether it's behind them, in front of them. Have a look at if they're on a sandy beach for instance, see if the colour of the sand reflects onto them. And then when you come to do your green screening, when you're lighting your subject, try to emulate that lighting, try to get the right colours, use gels, use colour temperature controls, and just try to match it as closely as possible, because then when you come to composite them into that frame, it'll look really natural, really authentic, and your audience might even think that you're actually there on the day filming it. So that is how to get you started with green screening. I hope it was useful to you. If you've got any questions, just leave a question in the comment section below. We'll get back to you as soon as we can. And if you haven't done so, subscribe to our channel, because we release videos every week all about top tips, new releases, all that malarkey about photo and video. So thank you for joining me. Hopefully I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.